discuss a couple of different issues today. The first issue we're going to discuss will be basically a question and answer session with Ray Alepa, the Director of DSS. Any questions you have about the plan that was accepted by the state a couple of weeks ago, okay? The second part will be part of Philip Tart and the Health Division's accreditation process, okay? So I know we're going to be on compressed time, so I want to invite Ray up right now and just to give a brief, real quick synopsis, and then we'll answer any questions.
Okay, I believe you all were emailed the final draft from the state that was approved by the Secretary. And this was a collaborative approach, a partnership in creating a plan after we received a review from the state. We worked together to come up with action steps and goals for the agency. And what you see is an outline of where we're at within our timeline.
And what you have in front of you is an update of with more recent steps that have been taken since what was emailed to you a couple of weeks ago.
And it's a living document, so we're going to continuously work on it and improve in all areas.
Well, I've certainly looked at it. I think y'all have done a tremendous job. I think in light of everything that has happened over the past year, you've done some incredible work, and it's nice to see that the state is recognizing the steps that you're taking and using that as kind of a model across the state. So, job well done. I didn't have any additional questions. Anybody else? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Tart will come up and talk about the health accreditation steps.
All right, board policy adoptions. I think that was the first agenda item. If you remember over the last two meetings, we've been talking about policies that the board would adopt for themselves, not only to ensure that you understood the general statute responsibilities, but also some of the policies that you would use to direct how we operate. I had an opportunity to sit since our last meeting with some of Jeff's staff in legal, and that is what you have attached in your agenda packet. There's 4 policies for adoption. There's adjudications, public participation, staff development, and then there's a general policy on policy development. We call it policy on policies, but it's a general how-to on policy development. There was a 5th policy that was a rules development, and I think we determined that since you already had that in statute of how you would adopt and enforce rules, there was no need for you to replicate that and put that in policy. So I think we're fine with that. But these 4, we felt, these 4 general policies that you have in front of you, we felt should be board policies, and we're asking that for an adoption tonight as part of your responsibilities as Board of Health.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt policies as presented.
All in favor? Opposed, none?
Also within, thank you. Also within the accreditation requirements, there is a section that talks about the annual review of a health director's job description, and I think you had that sent to you as well. More importantly for that, what it does entail is that you have a discussion about that or any questions or comments about those responsibilities, and more importantly, that you agree that those responsibilities in that job description for your local health director are sufficient. And we've sent you what we've used that we've had on the books, I think, in personnel for years, and that's what you have before you tonight. And for the minutes, I would ask that they reflect at least some discussion about that, whether it's an acceptance or whether it's just a general overview or just general questions you might have. And I typically would not do that. It's typically done within an evaluation type situation with the board, but it's still part of the requirements.
So is that yearly requirement?
It's an annual requirement.
So that review does not coincide with your evaluation, or
It should.
it should?
It should, but we're sort of off kilter this year.
Okay.
But we can certainly revamp that for next year.
In my review, is it like it's in keeping of what I was thinking would be the responsibilities? I mean, any feedback from you to us, or?
No, it's taken generally from the statutes with general responsibilities as contained in 130A. And it's very specific to those job responsibilities that they put in the legislation. So it's pretty consistent, as consistent as it can be state, county to county. There's very few exceptions to that. The last health director position I had actually was the same job description, contained the same information. The same 99%. We won't say it's 100%, but it's 99%.
Looks like it's pretty fair.
And you really don't need an adoption, it's just more of a,
We acknowledge we got it.
that's it.
That's easy.
I'm going to talk to you just a minute about the bad debt write-off. Annually, we have always written off bad debt as it pertains to the services rendered in the health department. And for all of you know, you accumulate bad debt. We've actually have two options available to us. We have the debt sell program with the state of North Carolina, where we submit any bills with someone that has a social security number, and that is submitted, if they have a bill exceeding $50 and above, that bill is submitted to the state after 12 months of non-collection. They will garnish any income tax return they might receive, and then that is distributed amongst all the players that are part of that program. So, 911, emergency services, us, we participate in that. There's also the bad debt that accumulates for those with less than $50. And what you have in front of you is a total of $53,604. This particular pot of money is over a 4-year period, the end of 2010 through 2014. And if you remember at that time, we actually changed our billing system from our old, what was QS, which was the proprietary title, over to an HIS system. And in the transference, most of that time was spent implementing that program, which left us with this still monies on the books, on the ledger. So we've spent the past year, at least the past 8 months, cleaning that ledger up in anticipation of our new EMR system. So what you have here is $53,604 that we have found that is only private pay accounts. This does not include Medicaid, and it does not include private insurance. This is only for those folks that would walk in and pay out-of-pocket cash. And this is for those individuals that we could not have turned over to a debt set-off program. So in other words, these are those accounts that are either they're less than $50, or we have had no way of accounting for that in our policy over a 12-month period. So if we have tried every attempt over 12 months and there's been no activity, and it's less than $50, then we calculate that as bad debt.
So theoretically, some of those folks could be deceased.
They could be. And I will tell you that some of these, if they were to come back in today and we were to write that off as bad debt, if they're seen again, then that debt goes back to their balance and they accumulate that same debt. It's pulled back from the bad debt write-off.
And you said this is 4 years' worth?
This is a 4 years of private pay.
And why do we not do this on an annual basis?
We do it on an annual basis. What we did is we switched from a accounting system that we had previously to a new accounting system, and staff's time was devoted to just that accounting system and cleaning that up, and they never finished cleaning up the old QS accounts.
All right.
Need a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Please.
Motion to approve the bad debt write-off in the amount of $53,604.71 for the health division.
Motion, all in favor? Opposed, none?
Thank you. And just so we will be bringing the other two before us, and you'll notice on some of those debts, it accounts for over revenues, it accounts for less than 1/10 to sometimes 0.2% over revenue, so it's very minimal. I want to talk to you just briefly about our community transformation grant that has since ended, that we received back in 2012. Well, Can I just talk the slides?
Where, it was on, where were you having
It
the,
was. It's gone on standby mode.
Do we have a copy of the slides?
Flashing green if there.
You should. It was working. It's not coming up.
should I take just a 5-minute break and let's see if we can get this going?
They're like,
Take a 5-minute recess.